Okay, amidst all this chaos and hoopla about whether or not this movie is good, great, bad, spectacular, or whatever grade you give this movie, can we all just admit for a second that it is very, very cool and amazing to be able to witness a Deadpool and Wolverine movie, and beyond that, have a character who, for 20 plus years, has completely given us the possibly greatest superhero portrayal of all time, as far as I'm concerned. RDJ is right there. Iron Man, Tony Stark is right there. But Hugh Jackman, for 20 plus years, has given us immensely brilliant performances as Wolverine, and he's able to come back when we all thought it was said and done. Come back and do a movie with Deadpool and give comic book fans really what they deserve. Truly. Whether or not you have thoughts about this movie, and I do have thoughts. I do have thoughts about this movie. Let's all just admit that it is really cool to be able to go watch a Deadpool and Wolverine movie in theaters. With that being said, let's get into it, because there's a lot to talk about. This is Deadpool and Wolverine. Hey guys, it's your guy in the chair here, and look, this is my review for Deadpool and Wolverine, starring Ryan Reynolds, Hugh Jackman, Emma Corrin, Matthew McFadden, and it was directed by Sean Levy, and our story follows our beloved Merc with the Mouth Deadpool, who essentially is on a journey of self-improvement, as Spot would say. He's basically trying to find purpose and meaning in his superhero life, trying to actually become a hero and figure out what it means to be a hero, and he's not really succeeding in the beginning portions of it, but he finds out that in somehow, some way, by bringing back Wolverine, I'm not necessarily going to get into the ways they do that, because that would be spoiler territory. I have a spoiler review in another video, but basically they find a way to intertwine Wolverine in a very good way, very smart way, that does not tarnish his legacy whatsoever, and basically these two have to team up to save Deadpool's world and give Wade that purpose and hope that he's looking for. And that's the best way I can describe this movie, because like I said, personally, if I talk about how they brought Wolverine into this story, I feel like that would be spoiling it for you, and this is not a spoiler review. I'm going to do my very best to not get into spoilers. I'm just going to be as little detailed as possible without giving too much away. But I am going to give various details because, look, like I said, this movie is a lot. It's great at some points, it's good at others, it's bad at some, and it's just okay in others. Like, this movie is all over the place. Me, personally, I had sky-high expectations day of. Building up to this movie, I didn't know what we were going to get, because it was like, yes, I am so excited to see Hugh Jackman, but I don't necessarily know what this is going to mean for Marvel, what standard we could hold this to in order to, like, judge what Marvel will be from here on out. Because, again, we have been asking ourselves what now feels like the lifelong question of when will Marvel be peak again. And I'll say this ain't necessarily the movie that will deem this Marvel peak or back. I mean, it's headed in the right direction, I'll say that. This is the definition of an entertaining summer blockbuster. It is, truly. I cannot deny that this movie is entertaining as hell. It is what comic book fans, as I said, deserve to see on the big screen. It is brilliantly done in a mass amount of ways. It's very well put together in a lot of ways, but in others, it just truly fumbles badly. And the only way I can do this is I'm going to do what I loved about the movie, what I liked about the movie, and what I disliked about the movie, which we'll get to that when we get to it. But as far as what I loved about the movie, I'm going to start with Hugh Jackman. Because as I said in my intro, it's truly, at this point, I feel like it's like something we're just taking for granted, these performances that he's given as Wolverine, because truly when you think of a character and you say the character's name, Wolverine, you only have Hugh Jackman, and there's really nobody else that comes to mind. Of course, people have said Taron Egerton, which I would like to see that, but I don't think he would be what Hugh Jackman. I don't think anybody will ever get close. Just like if somebody was ever to play Iron Man again, don't think they'd ever get close to RDJ. Hugh Jackman as Wolverine in this movie particularly gave one of his best performances as Wolverine ever. It's probably in my top 4 performances, but that's because the other performances are very good. I'd say it's up there with Logan. It's not better than Logan, but it's up there with it. Days of Future Past, I consider Days of Future Past better too. And can't think of the other one right now, but basically, look, he's up there. This performance as Wolverine is definitely up there because this version of Logan, this broken Logan that we see that is just down on his luck because he's lost everything in his life, and the entire universe that he's in blames him for what happened to the X-Men, and it is just a devastating point that we meet Logan in, and Hugh Jackman plays this character brilliantly. Hugh Jackman does a great job. He's the best part of the movie. There are 2 monologues in particularly that are absolutely marvelous. He gives 2 marvelous monologues, no pun intended. It was absolutely brilliant. It was breathtaking. The Wolverine character / Hugh Jackman gave a lot of heart and emotion to this movie that really gave it its heartbeat, and it was beautiful when that was going on. And I'll talk about what was crushing that in what I didn't like about the movie. But as far as what I liked, look, Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds' chemistry is off the charts. They are best friends in real life, and you can see that their chemistry on screen is literally straight from the comic books. It is literally like flipping through pages of a Deadpool Wolverine comic. That is what's going on screen. That is what we are here for, and that was beautiful to see. That was awesome. Like I said, there are so many entertaining parts to this movie. There are. I loved it. I loved their chemistry. I thought their chemistry was very fun. I thought it was funny at times, but then other things happened. But look, basically what happens in the comics is what happens on screen, and that's what you're here to see. Before I get to the action, which is absolutely mind-blowing, Emma Corrin as Cassandra Nova was awesome as well. Emma Corrin, if you've never seen A Murder at the End of the World, it's a decent series. It's not like amazing, but it's pretty good, and Emma Corrin is spectacular in it. Also, Harris Dickinson is in it, and you need to see it, honestly, for those 2 alone. But Emma Corrin in this movie was so amazing as Cassandra Nova, Charles Xavier's sister. Her powers were completely OP. Her powers were out of this world, and they definitely had to heavily put plot armor on her because she could possibly destroy an entire universe with the snap of her fingers if she wanted to. She was really that good, and Emma Corrin did an amazing job as her. She was having a lot of fun. That's the one thing I can say about this movie. Everyone that shows up on screen, no matter what circumstance, they're having fun. And that's all that matters at the end of the day. But people are still going to have opinions, and people should not be just so up in arms because they are opinions about this movie. But before I get to that, what I liked about this movie, like I said, Emma Corrin and Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman's chemistry, beautifully done. Another thing, the action. Opening scene. Deadpool has a knack for making some memorable opening scenes, and this one will be remembered for years to come. Hey, hey, bye, bye, bye. Yeah, I want to get into the whole thing, but look, we have a lot to talk about. Basically, the opening scene to that Deadpool and Wolverine was once again a brilliant one. And the action was completely gory. It was bloody as hell. Look, this is as R-rated as you can possibly get, and that means other things too. But we will get to that. And look, as far as I'm concerned, we're here. What I liked about the movie, the action is amazing. Oh, well, I still have more things to talk about the action. There is a car scene. Well, not necessarily a car scene, but they're fighting. Deadpool and Wolverine fighting a car. It's awesome. One of the best parts of the movie. Deadpool and Wolverine fighting in the car, and the build up to it. Like I said, that's where one of Hugh Jackman's monologues are. It's delivered brilliantly, and the fight that comes after it, that was genius. That was a brilliant part of the movie. Now, on to what I did not like about this movie. When I say this movie is as R-rated as humanly possible, not only does that mean there's a lot of cussing, blood, gore, sex remarks, sex jokes, sex stuff, regardless, as rated R as it can possibly get, that also means it's as Ryan Reynolds as it can possibly get. And I am not a person that normally hates on Ryan Reynolds. I'm not particularly hating on Ryan Reynolds here. I am just pointing out that, for me, Ryan Reynolds' shtick is kind of starting to get old. And throughout this movie, it got more and more and more painfully obvious that I am just kind of getting tired of Ryan Reynolds' shtick. It started with If, because I really wanted to like If a lot more than I did. And Ryan Reynolds isn't like the sole problem with what that movie is. It's just the plot's all over the place. But it's just his mannerisms, his Ryan Reynolds-isms, his joking, the quick whips. It's just kind of getting stale at this point. It's like it's the same thing over and over and over and over and over. And it's like, for me personally, it's just not working anymore. Now, Deadpool is the perfect character for him to play because that is a character that does all of those things. But for me here, the Deadpool delivery, the jokes were very, very hit or miss. I'd say I'm personally on the line of saying the jokes were 50-50. 50% hit, 50% miss. And the 50% that hit, do not get me wrong. The 50% of the jokes that hit, they hit. It's funny. It's funny. It is. But the 50% of the jokes that don't hit, they literally had me keep a straight face. Just not funny whatsoever. Just really just at some point cringy, at some point just eye rolling. I was like, this movie got a lot of reaction out of me, had a lot of different emotions out of me. But I did enjoy myself. Like I said, I will tell anybody, it's an entertaining ass movie. But there are issues with this movie. There are. And the jokes really highlight my dislike of what I didn't like about the movie. I mean, the jokes were just absolutely not landing whatsoever. It was just, I don't know. It was like the Marvel, Disney, Fox jokes in the beginning. They were very funny. And when it first, like, all of that stuff was very funny in the beginning. But the more and more we just get throughout the movie, and they keep beating it over the head just over and over and over, it's like, okay, we get it. The sex jokes, I'm not gonna lie to you, they are very clever, witty, funny. Some take a little while for you to realize what was said, and then they actually become a little more funnier. But then some of them are just plain out dumb. I don't know. Like I said, I was just getting very tired, and it's like it kind of reminds and honestly, I get that this is who Deadpool character is supposed to be, the merc with the mouth, and he's supposed to be very annoying. But truly, at some points in the film, when Hugh Jackman just could not take it anymore, was just telling this dude, will you shut the fuck up? Will you shut the fuck up? I truly was like, yes. Like, I really need someone else to start talking, because this is getting ridiculous. And they make an effort to put into the film many times. People are pointing out, yeah, this guy talks way too much. And yeah, that's his purpose. That's the point of Deadpool. But the other two Deadpool films had a very good balance. That's what I can say about the other two Deadpool films. They had a very good balance of not necessarily making Deadpool too annoying of a character. This had Ryan Reynolds written all over it, literally and figuratively, because Ryan Reynolds is a top credited writer in this film. And it just got absolutely obnoxious after a while. I could not bear it. And some of the jokes would hit towards the end of the film. Like, some of them would make me laugh, but then we'd go on a streak where I'm not laughing at all, and I'm just sitting there with a straight face. And a lot, like I said, a lot of the emotional parts that Deadpool 2, honestly, that's another thing that I liked about the movie I didn't get to talk about. The motivation and purpose for Deadpool's character, the story itself in this film is really good, because the heartfelt moments where Deadpool is really talking about, I need this, I need to find a purpose, I need to find something to, live for, to fight for, and, not be so self-centered about. Like, all that mattered, but then it would just be battered in and just completely washed away by joke. And that's what Deadpool is. I get it. But sometimes when you have too many jokes, you're going to run into if they don't hit, then yeah, you're going to run into an issue there where a portion of whatever's going on is not entertaining. At least for me, a lot of the jokes did not hit. For others in the audience, they were having a great time. And this is a great movie to experience with a theater audience, because there's a lot of shit going on. And there's just some parts of the movie people were dying laughing. I was not. I was laughing with the crowd with others. And there were just sometimes I was sitting there like, yo, this is kind of painful to watch at times. And there are other things wrong with the movie too. Truly, this movie does not necessarily feel like a movie at times. It feels like one big Super Bowl commercial ad for Deadpool, Fox, Marvel, Disney, whatever other corporation you want to put in. And to go back to what I liked for a second, to segue back to what I like, I do want to talk about the cameos, of course, but I'm kind of going to talk about that now. I did like the cameos, but at the same time, there were at points of this film that truly did not feel like a movie was going on. It just felt like it was one big Super Bowl ad for, like I said, Disney, Fox, Marvel, whatever else you wanted to call it. It just did not feel like a actual plot. Well, there was a plot being told, and then they would get rid of that and do all the wacky Super Bowl commercial ad stuff, and then they would get back to the plot, and then they would throw it away again and just go back to whatever Super Bowl commercial ads they wanted to do after that, and they get back to the plot a little bit, and then they kind of just wrap it all up. And it's like, they knew what they were doing, but at sometimes, I read this perfectly from a tweet. I don't necessarily know who said it. Sometimes they were trying to necessarily just trying to make the jokes, but the people that they were making the jokes about, they started to become, if that makes sense. Like, basically, the Disney jokes, Marvel jokes, Fox jokes, all the jokes that they were making, they started to become the butt of those jokes throughout the film, because they were literally turning into what they were talking about in said jokes. That's the best way I can explain it. Sorry if that doesn't make sense. And as far as the cameos go, like I said, there were some entertaining cameos. There were 2 cameos in particular that got me damn near off my seat cheering. It was awesome. There were 2 other cameos. One I could care less about. The other one disappointed me very badly. And like I said, I'm not going to get into spoilers, so I'm not going to say who these cameos are. But as far as one of the cameos and the accent dialect that he decided to do, I was not a fan of it. And a lot of people may know who I'm talking about. And they were probably yelling at their screen. That was the point. That was the joke. That adds to my notion of a lot of this shit just was not funny. The shit that they were thinking is funny and is just clever, yeah, it wasn't. That wasn't clever at all. That was very stupid. My ears could barely take it. That was very dumb. And beyond that, like I said, one of the cameos I just truly could not care for. But the other cameos were fun, and I found myself at times having fun with this movie. And then at other times, I felt like this movie is literally turning into what it's trying to make fun of. And it's like, what are you guys doing here? But beyond that, another thing I'll say about this whole No Way Home. This movie is literally Spider-Man No Way Home. And for those who are causing this huge commotion about this is the best Marvel movie since Endgame, that's not true. That's not true at all, because one, Shang-Chi exists, so I'm going to need y'all to stop overlooking that movie. Guardians of the Galaxy 3 exists, and I'm not even the biggest Guardians 3 guy. Spider-Man No Way Home exists, and yes, Spider-Man No Way Home is much better than this movie. Don't really care what you guys are. I am pretty biased with Spider-Man, but I promise you that movie is a lot better than this one, but that's not what this argument is about. But I will say, everybody's just blowing stuff out of proportion. This is not the best Marvel movie since Endgame. Y'all need to calm that down. Black Panther 2 is also, in my opinion, better than this movie. Look, but mainly Spider-Man No Way Home. Deadpool and Wolverine is literally Spider-Man No Way Home. It's literally the same movie. It's just the same multiverse techniques. It's tactics, techniques, all that. It's the same movie. So that's all I got to say on that. But look, overall, Deadpool and Wolverine is a good time at the theater. It's a great time. It's fun. It's entertaining. And for many people or our audiences, it's going to satisfy your movie-going experience or your movie-going pleasures or whatever. Yeah, it's going to satisfy that because some audiences just don't require a little more complication. But when it comes to the greatest superhero films of all time, for me personally, there are just more deeper layers than entertainment. This movie is thoroughly entertaining. I will not take that away from this film. Even the stuff that I don't like about this movie, I can say for other audience members, they're having a damn good time with it. It's entertaining as fuck. It is. But when it comes to the greatest superhero films of all time, and I'm not even saying the films that I talked about previously that came out after Endgame are better than this one. I'm not saying those films are some of the greatest of all time, but when it comes to films that you deem the greatest of all time, the story and the heart and emotion are some of the stronger elements that bring out the beauty in what you are watching. And this movie has that. It just gets squashed on by the stupid ass jokes that continuously get told. And I get it. You're supposed to have a lot of jokes. It's a Deadpool movie. But again, if you have too many jokes, you may or may not run into the problem where a lot of those jokes don't hit for everyone. And for me, it did not hit. But the movie was a joy ride for sure, and it's making me torn. But for all those reasons and so many more, guys, I'm going to give Deadpool and Wolverine a 3.25 out of 5 stars. All right, guys, so Deadpool and Wolverine, have you seen it? What did you think about it? Look, guys, thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff and so much more. Look, this is your guy in the chair. More content coming to you soon.